Tonight on CFTK-TV News, the Terrace RCMP talked about road incidents in their latest weekly report. A Paralympic medalist is trying to bring wheelchair rugby to the north, and an online-related bill for BC has been put on hold.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Good evening, I'm Kale Maslin, and here's what's making the news in the Northwest and beyond for today. It's Accessibility Week in Canada, a time to consider the perspective of those dealing with disabilities. Yvonne Nielsen is a well-known advocate for disability rights in Terrace and beyond. Our reporter, Jaylene Matthews, caught up with her to hear about accessibility futures and challenges in Terrace.
Yvonne Nielsen enjoys attending chair yoga at the local leisure center. But some features of the amenities leave her struggling. The heavy door of this accessible bathroom is hard to open.
This one's door is really heavy.
Oh, yeah. How would you even get in there?
Well, I can get in there and I have to walk so I can do that.
Oh.
But when I was in 2 years ago, and I had the operation on my foot, I was in a wheelchair, my foot was up, out. I was in the wheelchair, my foot was out. Trying to get in there is pretty hard.
But she's grateful for the elevator. This bathroom is labeled as wheelchair accessible, but Yvonne says that when she was in a wheelchair, she got stuck in the hallway leading into the bathroom.
I had a hard time getting in here. I asked somebody to help me.
Aww.
Because this is too narrow. Because wheelchairs come in different sizes, and the wheelchair I had was kind of a bigger size. And I got stuck right here.
It's too small for some wheelchairs. One thing she likes is door opener buttons that are on the top and bottom.
Quite a few years ago when I was at GF Strong, at the elevator, they had something like this, and I thought, oh, well, that's cool. So I brought it up in Terrace, I forget who I brought it up with, and I thought, oh, that's cool. And then, so when they redid the doors here, they put that in, and then the college, they renovated the main entrance. They've got the same thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
The bottom ones are more accessible for people with walkers or their hands full. She says many stores she wants to go to in town, like the gas station corner store, she's not able to get in the door on her own.
You know, you're going to get older, and then maybe one day something might happen to you, and you either get a spinal cord injury or in a wheelchair or amputee leg or foot. You know, you never know. So would you rather have it to be accessible now, and so if something does happen to you, at least it's already there.
For CFTK-TV News in Terrace, I'm Jaylene Matthews.
A retired Paralympic bronze medalist is looking to bring wheelchair rugby to the north. CFTK-TV's Jaylene Matthews has more.
It's Accessibility Week, a week of recognition that celebrates the many social, economic, and cultural achievements of persons with disabilities. One local legend many will remember is Caleb Brousseau. The Terrace-born local won Paralympic bronze in 2014. Caleb is now the Northern BC Peer Program Organizer for Spinal Cord Injury BC and is hosting a coffee group to connect with others with accessibility challenges in Terrace. He plans to bring more accessibility, awareness, and peer connections to the north.
Yeah, anyone that's like newly fresh to injury or even has been in it for quite some time, being able to meet up with other people in your situation, talk about it, and just kind of network and like gather with peers is pretty great. It's the easiest way to kind of understand the difficulties that we deal with in the north and how to navigate them.
As well as wheelchair rugby.
For doing sports, when I came out of rehab after this injury, I was able to join with the Vancouver League for wheelchair rugby, and they really encouraged kind of getting out early on. It was a great way to get exercise and to kind of get moving again and build the muscles, and it's been a really good time since then. So being able to join with them and kind of play with the provincial team, it's been a lot of fun and really enjoying it. So for this winter, we're hoping to start wheelchair rugby in Thornhill and start kind of getting people in the community to get to play that, which I'm pretty excited about.
The coffee group meets every second Tuesday at the Fix Coffee House. To join, reach out to Caleb through sci-bc.ca.
Hopefully I'll see you at the coffee group.
For CFTK-TV News in Terrace, I'm Jaylene Matthews.
In the middle of this past afternoon, a major walking path and connector between different areas around Terrace has itself a different name now. The multi-use trail that connects western downtown Terrace to the Canelam River Bridge that was once officially known as the Grand Trunk Pathway and unofficially as the Millennium Trail now goes by a new name. There was a ceremony earlier today to christen the path as the Nelson Trail, and the new name came from Charles and Emma Nelson, a well-known Tsimshian couple that lived in Kitsim-Calam during the late 19th and early 20th century. And according to Terrace's mayor, this name change process had been in motion for a while now.
Chief Roberts and I have been kind of talking back and forth. I had come to him a couple of years ago when I was still a councillor about the idea of possibly coming up with a new idea for the naming of this trail. And then we mutually came upon the name Spilaha Nelson Trail, which I think is very fitting, based on the history of Emma and Charles Nelson.
As far as the reasoning for the new name went, Sean Buitosh explained that while the couple often supplied Terrace's citizens with food and supplies, the real significance of the name came from Charles suffering a serious injury while traveling in the area, and now the path represents a safe passage for anyone who wishes to use it. But as far as other changes to the trail goes, the hope seems to be for Terrace to get some kind of grant funding so it can have lighting on the entirety of the path for anyone using it when it's dark out. For CFTK-TV News, I'm Cale Maslin. During last week, the Terrace RCMP is said to have dealt with several road-related incidents as detailed in their recent weekly report. One part of the report talked about a vehicle straddling the center line on the road in the Thornhill area, which was eventually stopped by an officer who also discovered that the driver had alcohol in his system via a breathalyzer test, and the driver ended up getting their vehicle impounded as well as a 90-day driving prohibition. Another reported incident saw a patrolling officer end up discovering a vehicle with expired insurance, in addition to a driver that had been reportedly prohibited from driving since all the way back in 2019. The driver got arrested and was later released with a future court date. An agreement was recently reached between Alta Gas Limited in Calgary and Royal Vopak from the Netherlands to approve an investment decision for a major project in BC. The project in question would see Prince Rupert become home to a large-scale liquefied petroleum gas and bulk liquids terminal known as the Ridley Island Energy Export Facility. The approval for the project came after it underwent an environmental preparation and review process that lasted half a decade, and the projected cost of the facility is at $1.35 billion. And as the name would suggest, the facility is planned on being built right next to the two companies' already existing joint propane export terminal on Ridley Island. The Prince Rupert Port Authority has referred to the decision from AltaGas and Royal Vopak as a milestone moment for the Prince Rupert Port. Coming up next, some police officers have been cleared of wrongdoing after a man died during a wellness check. Welcome back. BC's police watchdog has cleared RCMP officers of any wrongdoing after a Langley man during a wellness check in November. While the RCMP followed all of their policies, the man's family believes that if things were done differently, the 66-year-old grandfather might still be alive. CTV's Ben Bilger has more.
6 months after her father's death, Nikki McIntosh has the report absolving RCMP of any responsibility. Don Bennett, an avid horseman, was a gregarious and outgoing father and grandfather.
Family should have been the first phone call.
In November, concerned for Bennett's well-being, his employer called police to say he was distraught and had made troubling comments. Arriving officers say Bennett fired on them with a rifle. They retreated and called the emergency response team. After several hours and more gunfire from inside, Bennett started a fire that consumed the building and killed him. Nothing that police involved in this matter did or did not do caused AP's death, which was the result solely of his own decisions and actions, the IIO determined.
Yes, the RCMP may have followed everything down to the letter, but clearly the policies and procedures need to change in some way so that these things can be dealt with more delicately.
McIntosh would like to see trained mental health professionals join police on wellness checks, and she thinks family members should be contacted immediately. In this case, relatives were not called until more than 7 hours into the standoff. According to family, the RCMP actually blocked calls to and from Bennett's cell phone during the standoff, meaning he couldn't reach out to loved ones for help while distraught and suicidal.
Somebody would have gone over there to be like, hey, what's going on? Are you okay? And that, in my mind, should have been the first step.
Well, it's too late for her family. She thinks an overhaul of police policy could help prevent future tragedies.
There's so many of these cases. Since my dad passed away, I've had a lot of people reach out to me who have had family members that have been through very similar circumstances.
Hundreds of BC nurses marched through downtown Vancouver recently, culminating in a rally at the Art Gallery as they were asking for safer working conditions and better patient-to-nurse ratios. Here's CTV's Shannon Patterson with more.
This is what it looks like when hundreds of nurses stop traffic.
We're excited to be here. We have nurses from around the province, and we are united in our voice.
The BC Nurses Union march through downtown Vancouver culminated in a noon-hour rally at the Art Gallery that focused on nurse-to-patient ratios. Improved ratios were a key part of the last collective bargaining agreement between nurses and the BC government.
We've got a number of ratios that we've negotiated. We're hoping to start implementing in the fall.
I know a lot of our medical nurses are dealing with 7 or 8 patients to one nurse in a very acute trauma center. I know I've dealt with a lot more than 4 patients, and we're really hoping we get 1 to 4, because for medical sites that's really beneficial. It really helps our patients.
The health minister says the province will deliver on that promise.
Currently, we've established the nurse ratios in acute care and have put on into that a very significant investment of resources over the next 3 years, more than $750 million to invest to make that happen.
Another focus at the nurses' rally, workplace safety.
The BCNU surveyed its members back in March, and the union found at least once a month 50% of nurses in this province experience physical violence and 81% experience verbal or emotional abuse.
I would say I've experienced all of them. I work in a high-risk unit, and we often are exposed to illicit substances. Weapons is a very frequent reality for us, and violence, both verbal and physical.
The union says some nurses feel so unsafe at work, they're quitting.
We really need employers to do everything in their power to ensure that workplaces are safe, so that nurses in the system will stay, nurses that have left will return, and that we can keep any nurses that we recruit.
Their message, BC needs nurses, and nurses need to feel safe and supported. Shannon Patterson, CTV News, Vancouver.
Turning to tonight's weather, the North Coast is expected to see some rain and a low at 8 degrees. The Terrace-Kitimat area should get periods of rain plus a low at 8 degrees too, and the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District is likely to deal with some showers, while their low should be down at 5 degrees. On the North Coast, their next week is supposed to get only rain and clouds, while the high still shifts from 12 to 10 degrees. In the Terrace-Kitimat area, the week for them is also likely to get clouds and rain, with their high moving between 12 and 16 degrees. And in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, the upcoming week will possibly get a look at the sun for a second, but we'll also mainly just see rain and clouds, with the high bouncing from 16 to 11 degrees. Checking out the highways now, visit Drive BC for the latest and up-to-date conditions, and as always, drive safe out there. On Highway 16, there is utility work, bridge maintenance, road sweeping, construction work, roadside brushing, and paving operations. Highway 37 has some frost heaves. 37A has road maintenance work, some more road maintenance on the Nishka Highway, and the Telegraph Creek Road has both muddy sections and frost heaves. And this is what the roads were looking like this afternoon around the region from the view of the province's highway cams. Still to come, an A&W employee speaking out after a major car crash caused injury. Welcome back. Months after a car crashed into an A&W in North Vancouver, an employee that was severely injured is speaking out. She can't return to work for around a year, and as CTV's Yasmin Genda reports, she's getting little to no support from ICBC.
I'm not going to be able to see my kids and my family again. So that was the first thought that I have in my mind.
When Ruby Punzalan went to work at an A&W in North Vancouver on March 16th, she had no idea her life would be altered forever. A car pummeled into the restaurant while trying to turn into the drive-thru. She was standing near the fryer when it happened.
I got up and then I ran outside, called my mom. And the first thing that I said was, I think I'm gonna get blind because there's a lot of, I felt like so many heat.
Punzalan was the only one seriously injured. She spent weeks in the ICU. 18% of her body is severely burned.
I don't have any recollection until one of my attendant nurse told me that I went code blue. And I was shocked. I don't know what to say. I almost lost my life because of the incident.
She won't be able to return to work for at least a year, but might never go back to that location.
It's very traumatic for me to go back again in that restaurant to keep remembering what happened.
Punzalan is an area manager for the chain overseeing 5 restaurants. WorkSafe is paying 90% of her salary while she recovers, but she has received no compensation from ICBC.
When someone is injured while working, including injuries resulting from a car crash, it's a WorkSafe BC claim. Now, ICBC will provide coverage for any treatments or benefits needed under enhanced care that aren't covered by WorkSafe BC.
North Vancouver RCMP confirmed the driver is being investigated for driving under the influence of alcohol. Charges have yet to be laid, but she's thankful to be alive with her family by her side.
She always tells me, goes, Mom, don't worry, it's only the skin. You're still the same mom.
Yasmin Gantam, CTV News, Surrey.
BC has put its online harms bill targeting social media companies on hold for now, but in Ontario it's full steam ahead and more districts are joining a major lawsuit against the tech giants. The main issue is the addictive nature of apps like TikTok and Instagram and their impact on classrooms. CTV's Caitlin Wilson reports.
When it comes to social media, it's a constant scroll for many students. Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, and Instagram all at their fingertips.
Of other people that just don't do anything the whole class and just are on their phones doing nothing.
The Ottawa Catholic School Board is now joining 10 other schools and boards across the province in a lawsuit against Meta, Snapchat, and TikTok, accusing the social media giants of compromising students' ability to learn because of the addictive nature of the platforms.
We're seeing students who are dealing with depression, with anxiety. We've had an increase in eating disorders, as well as students that are being victims of sexual exploitation.
The school boards claim social media has forced them to spend significant resources on things like staff, hours, and funds.
We want to teach responsible use and the humane use of technology.
In a statement to CTV News, Snapchat says it intends to defend the claims, saying it feels good about the role it plays in keeping friends connected as they face the many challenges of adolescence. And TikTok says it's implemented a number of safety measures like parental controls. This mental health expert says teens in particular are vulnerable to the impacts of social media, including low self-esteem, anxiety, and depression.
They do not have a fully functioning frontal lobe to help them mitigate the damages and risks to social media.
But the province doesn't agree with the lawsuit.
Instead of large litigation, they ought to be focused on actually countering the threats online, taking action immediately.
Last month, the Ontario government banned some students from using cell phones in the class and blocked social media sites from all networks and devices.
I think I get where they're coming from, but I feel like it might backfire a little bit.
It's really hard to adjust, but I think it's better for learning.
Caitlin Wilson, CTV News.
And now we turn our attention to the stock markets. The Canadian dollar is up 22/10 of a cent. The price of gold is down $20.70. Oil is down 92 cents. Natural gas is up 2 cents. Aluminum is down $64. In Toronto, the TSX is up 197.41. The Venture Index is down 4.09. In New York, the Dow Jones is up 574.84, and NASDAQ is down 2.06. Still ahead is a look at a mob who has put away social media. Welcome back. A major current concern for parents is how much screen time their kids are getting. But what about parents' online habits? Experts are urging them to practice what they preach. CTV's Stephanie Seacost showed how one mom is doing that by going low tech.
Kelly Linehan is living in the moment.
Hey, can I get a high five?
High five. The former CTV Atlantic host, mom, and current grad student is taking a step back from social media to stay more present in her own life.
I was like everybody else. I used it a lot. And then kids came in the picture. I tried to be more aware of that. I just don't want them to see me with my head down. I don't want to live life with my head down.
Not only that, Linehan is taking it one step further. She's ditched her smartphone in favor of a flip phone.
It's just that immediacy I'm trying to get away from. And we're all just geared to feeling that vibration in our pocket and going for it, and it interrupts our thoughts, our conversations.
While you don't have to get rid of your devices to make an impact, clinical psychologist Dana Lee Bagley says not being present with your child can harm your relationship.
Even though we like that expression about do as I say, not as I do, it's not really how it works.
She suggests setting a do instead goal instead of a don't do goal.
There are some real advantages of getting off our phones or devices and paying attention to what's happening. So I'm going to pay attention to the soccer game. I'm going to be present for playtime with my kid.
While Linehan knows it will be a challenge, it seems she's not alone in her efforts.
The interesting thing is after I was telling people this is what I'm doing in my plan, a lot of people said me too. So I wouldn't be surprised if there are other people that feel this way.
Stephanie Seacost, CTV News, Halifax.
That's all our news for now. From everyone at CFTK-TV News, I'm Kale Maslin. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.